Hi, my name is Lauren Bersaglio, and I'm the founder of Libero Network. Libero Network started when I first entered into recovery for an eating disorder and depression. I wanted to share my story because for so many years I'd felt ashamed about my experiences and what I'd struggled with, and I felt like I needed to keep it a secret, and that really prevented me from reaching out and getting help, and it made me feel like I was all alone. So I wanted to share my story because I wanted other people to know that they weren't alone and that they don't need to feel ashamed. So I wrote it out and I posted it on Facebook on my personal profile, and that story ended up getting shared by people I didn't even know, and I was receiving messages from people who I'd never seen before, never met before, and they were all saying how encouraged they were and how my story helped them feel like they weren't alone and like they didn't have to be ashamed of what they were going through. I launched my own personal blog to share my recovery journey through my eating disorder and my body image issues. I decided to launch a Facebook page to start a small community there focused on recovery and body positivity. But over time, I started getting messages from guys who were going through depression, and they were saying, you know, I read all of your blogs, I'm encouraged by them, I can relate to all the things you say, it's super helpful. And I get the same thing from girls going through anxiety, and I'd never dealt with anxiety in the past. And guys going through anxiety, girls going through depression, guys with eating disorders, girls with eating disorders, they all could relate to what I was talking about, what I was writing about. And that's when I realized that this community was so much bigger than me, it was so much bigger than my story, and it was so much bigger than just eating disorder recovery and body image. It was about all mental health, and we were all finding a place where we could connect and where we could encourage each other and relate to each other's stories, and that's when the community began to grow. So as the community started to grow, I started getting messages from people in the community asking if they could share their story on my blog. And I'd never thought about it before, but I realized, you know, that was a really good idea. So I opened up my blog for other people to start sharing their stories. And as one person would share, another person would read that story and they would want to share, and then another person would ask to share. And my blog started to grow, and it started getting too big to just be my own personal blog. And I always wanted it to grow beyond just me and grow beyond just my story. And that kind of was the pivoting point that took things in another direction. At the time, I was also looking for an online community to supplement my own recovery. I found online, mostly what I found was organizations that were focused on awareness, or I found blogs that were focused on recovery and support, but they were quite inconsistent. There was no quality control, and one day they might just disappear, or all of a sudden they would turn super triggering. And I thought to myself, is there not something that combines the two? Is there not something that's professional, like these organization websites, but that's focused on support rather than awareness like these blogs are? And I couldn't find anything. And so that was the premise that I built Libero Network on, and I built the community on. Once I decided that that was my vision for Libero Network, the next step was to launch an online magazine. So I gathered writers, people who'd shared their stories on my own blog, people I'd met in the recovery blogging community, and we started expanding that team. We started putting out articles almost daily, and then we opened up the site for others and members from the community to share their stories and send them in as well. Today, the Libero Network community has grown to over 10,000 people. We have our full online magazine along with extensive resources for all areas of mental health. We have support groups on Facebook. We utilize social media. We have a YouTube channel. We have a team of over 20 people that volunteer and who are involved. And I do a lot of speaking and sharing my story as well.